What seems to be overpriced, but in reality is 100% worth it? Story 1. Good shoes and socks. The Sam Vimes Boots theory of socioeconomic unfairness, often called simply the Boots theory, is an economic theory that people in poverty have to buy cheap and subpar products that need to be replaced repeatedly, proving more expensive in the long run than more expensive items. The term was popularized by English fantasy writer Sir Terry Pratchett in his 1993 Discworld novel, Men-at-Arms. In the novel, Sam Vimes, the captain of the Ankh-Morpork City Watch, illustrates the concept with the example of boots. But the thing was that good boots lasted for years and years. A man who could afford $50 had a pair of boots that'd still be keeping his feet dry in 10 years' time, while the poor man who could only afford cheap boots would have spent $100 on boots at the same time and would still have wet feet. Story 2. A quality sofa. One from What a Room Custom Sofas, Room and Board, Our House, or Flex Steel. Don't go for the junk from Joybird, Ashley, Burrow, West Elm, etc. I got a set of Italian leather sofas, gently used, next door, for $100. I looked it up. $10K new, double stitched. Rich people will pay you to get rid of older stuff. Have a truck. We'll take your used 2K washer. Thanks. I have always said if you own a truck, you always have a way to make money if you get down on your luck. One of my favorite side gigs was broken appliances. I would drive around rich neighborhoods on trash day and pick up appliances off the curb or drop free stuff on Craigslist. Most of the time it was an easy fix, like a fuse or a belt or whatever, and then I would turn around and sell it on Craigslist. If not, I could always scrap it for 10 cents a pound. This sounds low, but adds up fast if you have a truckload of them. Plus, people will pay you to move or haul stuff. I find it crazy that people can spend $5K plus to buy a sofa online without even sitting on it. Just crazy. We spent $5,000 almost exactly on a custom-ordered couch from Dream Sofa about 2 months ago. Took us about a month to configure it to our liking. Most of that was getting free swatches sent to us, rubbing them on the dogs and spilling grape juice on me to see how durable they were. They supposedly just finished the couch and we should have it in hand in a couple of weeks. It's expensive, but it also should last us 15 years or more. For something we use literally every day. That's a no-brainer. This is true, but the companies aren't right. We, Our House, R&B, C&B, etc. all contract out their furniture manufacturing to the same few companies, mostly in North Carolina. There's a huge furniture industry there and they make the same basic stuff for everyone. What matters is knowing the specific joinery and frame of what you're buying and the features of the fabric. Most of those stores have the same basic quality, but also some misses. Usually anything made in America will be good. Can't speak for stuff like Ashley or Joybird. If they work with the same manufacturing groups, it's probably fine. If it's some Chinese or whatever stuff that's imported, I'd pass. Story 3. A concert ticket to your favorite artist. You'll most likely forget about the money once they get on. 2017, Rock in Rio, Red Hot Chili Peppers. Never gonna forget the show. And today I have no idea how much I paid for the tickets and airline tickets to get there. I bought a ticket for my wife to see Jeff Beck not too long before his passing. She's been a big fan since the beginning. I like his stuff, but couldn't really be considered a fan. Besides, 2 tickets were beyond our price point. Anyway, she had the time of her life and I was glad to be able to do that for her. Today's concert prices are unbelievably expensive, but when adjusted for inflation, I guess I probably spent a comparable amount back in 1980 to see Queen, my favorite band in Detroit. Maybe not. I just did a few of those inflation calculator things and my ticket still cost me less than $200 at today's prices. Anyway, I'd seen Queen twice before when they played in Detroit, and when I saw a classified ad in the newspaper from a scalper who had great seats, I had to contact him. Turns out he had 2 tickets in the front row for $45 each. Face value at the time was $9 for the most expensive tickets. At that time, I earned $7 something per hour. I hesitated for about 5 seconds before I bought the best seats in the house. The folks I worked with called me all sorts of crazy when I mentioned how much I'd paid. Should have just kept my mouth shut. Needless to say, the show was amazing, and the seats I bought were literally pressed against the stage. No barrier. so that those of us in that row had to stand on our chairs throughout the concert and rest our elbows on the stage apron. I took tons of photos with the 110 Kodak Instamatic that I'd sneaked in, and I have no regrets about spending that kind of money for something so frivolous as a concert. I completely disagree. Concerts these days, especially with bigger artists, are way too artificially overpriced. I also always have a better experience in smaller venues with smaller bands rather than paying a fortune for a seat at the back of a bigger arena. If the ticket is more than £100, I rule out going. Metallica is a hard no for that exact reason. The bigger bands I still see are getting closer and closer to that mark, around £80 if you get in quickly, and there's no multiple pre-sale BS. There's no way in a million years I'd pay the prices that I see pop artists charge. What a ripoff. Story 4. An Uber home instead of a DUI. Whether it's court costs, the more than monetary costs of an accident, and the issue of having a suspended license, it's not worth it. Don't drink and drive. For what it's worth, oftentimes it's not so much the cost of an Uber, but the cost of multiple parking tickets, or even having your car towed if it's left somewhere it can't stay overnight, or into the next day, which is usually the case if you're going out somewhere in your city's downtown. That being said, still better than getting a DUI or killing someone. I personally do not care an ounce about the hardships people get from a DUI. I absolutely do care about the innocent people drunk drivers put at risk. I don't want someone killing my family because they couldn't control themselves while drinking. Yeah, my sister had been driving drunk for years before they caught her. She kept saying she was focused enough to do it, and even though we would hide her keys when she'd be drunk with us, she would manage to find them and would drive when drunk with friends, so she thought she would basically get away with it at all times. A few months ago, they caught her. She had to ask everyone for rides to work, to her daughter's school, and anywhere else, or take a cab because there was no public transport where she lived for months. And then she got that blowing thing they install in your car when you have to blow in it sober or it won't start. It costs her lots of money to keep that thing in, and there were also legal costs associated with it. Clearly not worth it. As a former bartender, I have been threatened with violence for taking someone's keys when they were obviously over the legal driving limit. At the club I worked at, my boss made a point to say our employment hinged on two things: carding people, college town, you'd be surprised what the under 21 set will try to get away with, even without a fake ID, and relieving those who were impaired of their keys. Good boss. Stood up for us when patrons got crunchy with us too. We had an excellent bus service that ran until 1 a.m., which helped people get home safely and reasonably cheap. But bars and clubs closed at 4, so there were several hours they still needed to rely on taxi/Uber/Lyft. Still better than someone winding up unalived. Oh, and on New Year's Eve, buses were free starting at 9 p.m., ran until 4:30 a.m., and taxis had reduced fares, so the worst night for impairment was covered. Story 5. Dental work. Wish I could upvote this a million times. Never could afford the dentist when I didn't have dental insurance and have sunk about $8K to $9K getting my teeth back to a healthy place. You better believe I go clockwork every 6 months now. I'm in the process of Invisalign to correct my bite. It was pricey, but I am almost done with the initial round. It has been worth it though, because the headaches I used to get all the time with my unaligned jaw and bite have more or less gone away. Not waking up with pounding headaches due to my jaw muscles being inflamed is life-changing. I wish there were better DIY ortho options. Invisalign is a great product and can accomplish much of what traditional brackets do. I've had a handful of people call my office and ask about Invisalign after trying out the internet brands and messing up their bite or even causing recurrent pain. That being said, I don't know how many people tried those products and were successful. I used Invisalign to straighten my teeth. I just know that after treatment is done, you will need to get their Vivera retainers. They look like your trays. A pack of 4 costs $650 at my dentist. You cannot purchase them without a dentist ordering them for you. Each set is only recommended for 3 to 4 months of use, so they basically have you by the balls for $650 every year for life. After what I paid for Invisalign treatment, retainers should have been included. The dental industry is a scam. Just wish it wasn't so unaffordable to lower-income persons like I have been most of my life. But completely agree. I have brushed and flossed my whole life, but due to years of alcoholism, sober almost 6 years now, and genetics screwing me over with soft teeth, thanks mom and dad, lol, there isn't much hope for me. Dentures are pretty much what I've been told are my only options, as no way I can afford implants. Basically, I feel like my life is over, and I'm nothing but gross now. Would die alone because I wouldn't and then couldn't take care of them. Don't be like me is what I'm saying. If you can afford to nip it in the bud when it's not a major issue, do so. Story 6. Mattress, shoes, dental care, jacket. In that order. Dental care. Not necessarily overpriced, but it's a damn disgrace that it isn't covered by health insurance, not even in most Western EU countries. Studies are showing time and time again that there is a very significant correlation between dental and physical health, with much more to come. Recent studies have shown a significant association between periodontitis and Alzheimer's disease and cancerous outcomes. Aside from the highly elevated risks of stroke, heart attacks and disease, respiratory disease, diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, and other autoimmune diseases and so much more. Yet it's being treated as if the mouth is completely separate from the rest of the body. Good mattresses are valuable, but they are also massively overpriced. The tech hasn't changed that much in 50 years. It's just a few manufacturers that have an absolute stranglehold on the market. Almost every brand of mattress out there is made by like 2 companies, and then rebadged. There is no real competition. $5,000 for a decent mattress that probably cost a couple of hundred tops to make is ridiculous. Story 7. Sony XM5 wireless noise-canceling headphones. Just amazing. My daughter has the XM4s and I have AirPods Max. Both do an incredible job of noise canceling and the sound quality is incredible. They are especially beneficial in airports and on airplanes. Nothing reduces stress more than making all that noise practically disappear. We bought our young teen daughter the XM4s because she has some anxiety in crowded places, and the headphones work wonders to help her feel calmer. Audio engineer here, those are terrible headphones. They're so well designed on the outside, everything about them screams quality, and their active noise canceling is top notch. They completely fail at their primary task of actually reproducing audio though. They're just as culpable, if not more so, to that which everyone laughed at Beats for doing in years past. There are far better headphones for significantly cheaper. If noise canceling is your biggest concern, they still likely aren't worth it. Yes, their ANC is good, but most of your noise canceling is going to come from the passive noise canceling of a unit, which is largely comparable across similar style headphones. Story 8. Sewing machines. My cousin came to my family's place for her wedding, but the dress had a hole in the seam of the armpit. My mom got Grandma's sewing machine from the 60s out of storage and sewed it up in a matter of seconds, when it would have easily taken an hour to do that accurately by hand. Sewing machines are among those things that when you need them, you're grateful you have them. This was not always the case. Pre-1980s, Singer sewing machines were affordable to most people, were made in the United States, and were good quality. My friend still uses the one she inherited from her grandmother. It was made in 1971. Even in the 90s/2000s, you could get a cheap but good sewing machine by Brother or Genome. These days, even Japanese brands with good reputations are using plastic instead of metal parts in the machines, so the only sewing machines that you can always trust are vintage ones or contemporary ones by Bernina, a luxury Swiss brand. It's the Hermes of home sewing machines. Story 9. Tailored clothing. Wearing clothing that fits correctly is more comfortable, looks better, and tends to be of a quality that lasts longer. Adding on that you don't have to get bespoke or designer clothes and then have them tailored. You can thrift high-quality pieces and have them altered to fit you perfectly. I have 2 coats from the 80s that cost me $25 together that I had altered for $160 total, and they are beautiful, impeccably fitted, and will last me the rest of my life. I recently bought a pair of early 90s men's Calvin Klein jeans for $10 and then had them tailored to fit me for $18. Not only do I get compliments on them all the time, but they have functional pockets and are much higher quality than most modern women's designer jeans. The quality of most consumer goods has tanked in the last couple of decades, but good pieces are still hanging out in resale shops, waiting to be worn for another 30+ years, especially for a special event, wedding, award ceremony, etc. If you pay a tailor to customize every aspect of your suit, pant length, waist, crotch length, leg taper, shirt sleeves, shirt width, jacket, etc., you'll look like James Bond or the female equivalent. You don't even have to be in particularly good shape or anything. It's just that you look sloppy when your pants are an inch too long, or there's too much room in your crotch, or there's excess shirt fabric that can't be tucked in. Most people couldn't tell you why, but they would subconsciously perceive you better when all of the little details are perfect. Most people don't understand how big a difference 1 inch can make in your clothing. There's a reason why everyone in older photos looks more elegant. Most clothing, including clothes for poor people, were made for that person. Off-the-rack sizing didn't really take off until after World War II, and it's not great. Most t-shirts for men, for example, are essentially a big square. No one has that shape. It will fit exactly 0 people properly. If you take 10 minutes on a machine, you can tailor one to your exact fit, and it looks 10 times better. Story 10. My job involves walking a lot, and I cannot emphasize how less whiny I am if my feet aren't hurting. Edit, thanks for the validation. Now I'll continue advocating for great shoes at the workplace with more conviction than ever. Also, sorry for the confusion with I'm and I am. We have all managed to agree that I'm and I can be used interchangeably, but isn't grammatically pleasing to those who understand what clitic is. Cheers. Socks make a huge difference. I only buy darn tough socks now, and yes, they're expensive, but I have a lifetime warranty and keep your feet dry and less smelly. I did the Pepsi challenge between them and regular socks when working the line at a very busy restaurant. My feet and back were noticeably less tired and sore after a shift in the darn toughs. Every other factor the same. Since I've switched to them for hiking, I've never once come close to getting a blister. When I had a job where I was on my feet the whole time, a good pair of walking boots and a good pair of socks made a huge difference. One but not the other was good, but both together were best. I saw a recommendation for darn tough socks here on Reddit and tried them. 24 pounds a pair, but damn were they worth it. Story 11. Movers. 100% worth their weight in gold. Absolutely. I used to have the mindset of, I'll die before I pay someone to move my stuff. It used to take me forever to get settled into a new house because I would be completely exhausted once I loaded and unloaded everything. It's so much easier to just pack everything into boxes and have movers move it for you, and then you spend your energy unpacking and getting settled in instead of loading and unloading. Professional mover of 17 years here, and unsurprisingly, I'm inclined to agree. Good movers with proper equipment can move your whole house in a fraction of the time it'd take you while disassembling what needs to be disassembled and wrapping everything that needs protecting. You don't have to worry about renting and returning a poorly maintained U-Haul or coercing your friends to help, and your backs will thank you. Budget movers of Kijiji are a gamble though. It's always recommended to read reviews. My husband and I moved a lot, and the last one was the first one where we hired some local movers. It was about $300 for them to help us load boxes and the big furniture in the truck, take it out and place it in our new house. The dudes worked so fast and were incredible. We tipped them a bunch and all had a beer. They were 10,000% worth it, and I can't believe we did this all by ourselves so many times. It's also risky though. My mom moved from California to Michigan, and they stole a bunch of stuff. The company she hired a third-party company, and they basically told her to kick rocks. She sued them and ended up getting a fraction, monetarily, of what was taken. All the pictures of me growing up are gone. Story 12. Good headphones. I mean, very good headphones. I'd easily spend several hundred on a new pair. It's just a whole new world. You don't even need to get up into several hundred. The biggest quality increase comes when you step up to right around 125 to 150. I don't disagree that spending more, and in some cases even a lot more, gets you better quality. But the reality is that there are a lot of people that really aren't going to hear the difference. Totally agree. The first time I went from 30 to 150 was mind-blowing. Though I'd say I had even more of a difference going from 150 to 1K. To notice that, you also need to have the rest of your setup upgraded. And now we're talking about a whole other ballpark of budget. Noise canceling means more to me than pure audio quality, and I haven't found anything that makes noise canceling like Bose. When I got a raise last year, the first thing I bought was a new Bose headset for use while working. Love my Bose Quiet Comfort. The noise canceling was a big must for me, but man, did they get the comfort part down. I can wear these bad boys for 10 plus hours straight, and they're still comfortable. Not too hot, no headache from a tight grip, nothing. Just about ready to upgrade, kinda stuck between the Quiet Comfort Ultras or just the regular new QC. Story 13. Professional kitchen knives. You're not just paying for the ability to cut, you're investing in less prep time, safer handling, and a tool that, with proper care, will last a lifetime. Don't undermine your culinary skills with subpar equipment. Remember, a dull knife is an injured chef's first sign of regret. Good cookware in general. My mom still cooks largely from a set of pots and pans that she's had since the 70s, and they still work perfectly fine. Her cast iron set is even older than that and will likely be going to me someday. The professional chef here agreed that good knives are a must. They must be sharpened regularly and never ever sent through a dishwasher. Also agree that you really only need 4 knives, not some crazy full set. But I do want to play a little devil's advocate for certain inexpensive knives, the ones that I would refer to as house knives. These are inexpensive workhorses that you can also beat on when needed. Bones, cracked lobster claws, etc., but that are also capable of holding a nice edge. The key is to look in a restaurant supply store, not any kind of regular consumer store. The one I go to only sells equipment, so unlike Restaurant Depot, you don't need a special card to shop here. If you get a basic pull-through sharpener in the same place, those ugly white plastic handles and knives will do all you need them to. The restaurant store might be able to hook you up if you want to shop online. Story 14. A bidet or Japanese toilet. I have ones that are $50, $500, and $5,000 because of moving and different rooms and stuff. Anyways, no matter the price range, they're all the ultimate luxury. It blows my mind when even wealthy people still wipe their butts with TP. They could be driving a prototype Bentley or something and still don't know how to treat their ass properly. I'm like, are you from 800 BCE? In Japan, that's every single toilet everywhere, even at gas stations, shopping malls, and probably McDonald's. We need to make that the standard in the US. Plus, otherwise, we'll never work our way up to the 3 seashells. When I studied abroad in Japan, I always knew to go to a convenience store when I had to go to the bathroom since they always had good quality bidets. Not every bathroom has them, especially older ones, but the vast majority of them do. Story 15. A good pillow. I went for it and purchased 2 high-end goose feather pillows. Loved them at first until my dog, who slept with us, came on the bed and started barking non-stop at them. It was either the pillows or the dog. My housekeeper ended up taking home 2 really nice pillows. Shameless plug for Pillow Cube. I am mainly a side sleeper and have a history of back pain, which includes commonly waking up to a weird crick or stiffness in my neck or between my shoulders. Since switching to the Pillow Cube last September, I have woken up pain-free 99% of the time. Coupled with a body pillow and a regular pillow, shredded memory foam with bamboo cover, for support on the other side / rare nights when I want to sleep on my back, I think I found the trifecta that works for me. Story 16. I'm usually a cheapskate, but experience has taught me that some things are worth spending money on. For example, number 1, car wash vacuum cleaners, so it's worth it to spend $1.50 or whatever to use one rather than trying to use your own vacuum cleaner, and they get your car cleaner much faster than dragging out your home vacuum to try to clean your car with it. Number 2, electronics. Buy them from brand name shops. It isn't worth hassling to save $10 somewhere and getting something that doesn't work or doesn't have a reasonable return policy. Number 3, household help. If you can afford it, get someone to come in and clean your house on a regular basis so it stays always clean without you having to do anything. Education. Now this is a big one and far more could be written about it. Obviously, not all education expenses are worthwhile, so I'm not necessarily referring to college degrees or whatnot, but educating yourself, or especially educating kids if you have them, can return dividends throughout their life. One interesting secret about number 3, having a housekeeper come in regularly also motivates you to keep things tidy so that they can get in and clean things. Like if your housekeeper comes in every other Wednesday, by Tuesday you're making sure things like making sure that the floors are clean to vacuum, you don't have stuff piled on your table / counters and stuff like that. If you have the tendency to let things get cluttered, it definitely motivates you to keep things tidy. Having a cleaner come has been one of the greatest decisions of my life. It's the best ADHD hack. I end up most times decluttering the areas that need to be cleaned. Having someone come in and take care of all the jobs that I don't like to do, cleaning the bathroom and kitchen, and mopping all the floors, makes the other regular jobs during the week so much easier and manageable. Add on top of that buying a fancy Shark cordless vacuum cleaner, and now my flat stays in relatively clean states. The clutter is never ending, though, in all the other rooms. Another benefit is the end I hired my mum, who is a cleaner by trade, instead of finding a third party. So I get to see her every other week and have dinner with her after, which is nice. It's a win-win for me, and it is some of the best money I spend. Story 17. Pots and pans. Cheap ones. Flake, scratch, warp, scorch, or just simply don't transfer heat evenly. A good set, especially skillets, will help prevent all kinds of cooking disasters. Doesn't have to be top of the line. Just avoid bargain basement junk. I'm becoming more and more convinced to look for used quality enamel cast iron. The quality of cast iron and the considerably higher day-by-day ease of use of enameled cast iron are turning me into a believer by the minute. My wife wanted a little one, but I ordered her a giant 15-inch pot, and it's been used weekly for years now, for everything. God, it's so useful. High walls for less messy frying/pan frying, sauté, soups, roasting in the oven, baking meals, bread loaves. Honestly, my cast iron works fine, and they're like $15. I've got that, a wok, and an enameled copper pan for eggs, etc. All pretty cheap. Pots though? Upgrading to a 2-quart, 4-quart, and 8-quart all-clad, game changer versus those crappy $20 aluminum ones. Night and day. Shout out to Cuisine Art multi-layer pots, which are a great quality too. I've spent more on other skillets thinking something was just not working with the $15 cast iron. Nope, just badly seasoned and a bad cook. Really got anal about seasoning it, and now it's like those non-stick commercials where burnt cheeses slide out of it. It's even replaced most of my ovenware, since the oven will melt before it ever does. The only real complaint is when you have it full, it's heavy AF. I do not cook eggs in it. They're one of 2 specialty cases. I have a Blue Diamond brand, I don't know if that's a Walmart brand or what, skillet I use for eggs and acidic foods, mostly anything with a heavy tomato presence, and it's a charm. I think it was also like $15. Story 18. An actually warm jacket in the winter. I got a $300 Patagonia coat on clearance for $180 in the summer a few years back. I was a bike messenger in the Midwest at the time, and that thing has been all I've needed for every winter since. Or a real warmth system. I routinely winter camp in frigid temperatures, and my go-to system is a light base layer, a down puff, and a regular raincoat. Significantly better than a parka if you're actually moving, and cheaper too. I agree, but that doesn't mean it has to be expensive. I live in Canada, and I don't have a Canada Goose jacket. Sure, they are warm, and they carry a lifetime guarantee, but they're also like $1,200. I picked up a super warm North Face jacket on sale about 5 years ago for $200. Super warm, but it is worth it to buy decent quality. You just don't need to go to the extreme and go fancy. Story 19. Air conditioning. A friend of mine refuses to play the how long can I wait before I use the heat/AC game. He said, I pay for what's important to me, and being comfortable in my own house is very important to me. Changed my perspective forever. Oh yes, I'm Southern, have lived abroad where air conditioning is not the norm, and now live in Arizona. I am a huge fan of climate control. In the humid South, it was an amazing escape from the brutal humidity in the summer. The air felt cleaner and more breathable. In Arizona, it just keeps you from burning alive in July and August. There are people who don't use it here and take great pride in that, but I am not, and will never be one of them as long as it's available. Where I live, it's not very common to have AC. Oh, but it's only hot a couple of weeks a year. But please, we get a heat wave of 35+ for a couple of weeks every year, while everyone else is complaining, sweating to death in a room full of mosquitoes. I'm sleeping like a baby at 20 degrees Celsius. Plus, I can use it for an emergency-efficient single-room heating source in the winter. That's the argument I never get when talking to British friends. Oh, well, we'd only use it like once a year. Bro, you just got done telling me how 15 elderly people and an infant died in your town last August. Buy a frickin' window unit at least. It's like the don't shop while hungry thing, but inverted. They suffer every single year but then decide it's a waste during the weeks they're comfy and they're available to buy. Story 20. Good tires. There is no aspect of safety or performance not affected by available tire grip. I laugh so hard when I see 100K performance cars with garbage tires. I deliberately look at the tires every time I see a 5 to 10-year-old premium car parked near me, BMWs, Audi, etc. The frequency with which these cars are on Longs or Triangle or other brands is astounding. One of my colleagues bought himself an 8-year-old car recently, brought it into work and then asked why I gave him such a worried/anxious/somewhat disgusted look. He had a mix of 3 different brands across all 4 corners. The 2 corners that had the same brand, different tire models. Being the asshat I am, apparently, I told him, get all 4 changed for a matching set. Apparently he didn't want to spend £400 to £500 on a new set, on a car that cost him $15,000. Story 21. LASIK eye surgery. Would pay to do it again if I had to. Best money I ever spent, and that was 20 years ago. So I was told that LASIK/PRK basically burns out your close-up vision early. So when you hit your 40s, you'll need reading glasses. Holy crap, I'm 38, and I'm looking into getting some. With that said, no regrets whatsoever. I got my eyes zapped after nearly 20 years of wearing glasses/contacts, and honestly within 2 weeks I basically would forget that I ever wore glasses. I suppose it's different for everyone. I had LASIK 20 years ago, woke up with Superman-like vision the next day, and now at 47 I can still see just as sharp as ever. I was nearsighted before. Maybe that's why I don't have any need for reading glasses, unlike those I know who never needed glasses and are now needing readers at this age. I did have a scare that LASIK results were degenerating a few years after the surgery. I was living in India for 6 months on a business trip and noticed my vision getting blurry and thinking, damn, when I get back to the US I'll need my vision examined again, and then took a 3-day weekend trip to Singapore, where by the time I stepped outside the airport I noticed my vision was crystal clear again. It was just the haze and pollution in India making me think my eyesight was going bad. Story 22. AAA roadside assistance. If you ever lock your keys in your car or need a tow, it pays for itself in 1 or 2 uses alone. I've had a few older cars that had some problems and breaking down is never fun, so I was always glad I had it just in case. They have to get to you before helping. I don't know if this is common, or if I just live in the worst area for AAA, but my tire blew out on the highway and I didn't have a spare. I called AAA because I've been paying for it and they told me it would be 6 hours before someone could make it out. I let them schedule it just in case other options didn't work out, and immediately called my car dealership towing service, which was included in the price of the car. They got there in 2 hours. Thanks for watching until the end. If you have a similar story to these that you would like to share with us, please leave it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave us a like and subscribe. For more videos like this one right now, please stop by our channel. Thanks again, and see you next time.